hearing that, like mind, I think you said mind conditions matter and vice versa. They might think, oh, like we have control over our bodies. Like that could be misperceived, couldn't it? That just, that we have control, thinking that we have control over.
Well, we have to avoid extremes. The extreme of saying we have total control over the body, or the extreme of saying we have no control over the body. I mean, it is, from a Buddhist perspective, it is a conceit to say, I am the body. But it is undoubtedly the case that through an act of will, I can raise this arm, I can open the door, To say that I have no control would be ridiculous. But ultimately, do we have control? No, because at this moment I have no idea how my liver is working, my lungs. If it was left to me to keep my heart beating, I would die instantly because I have no idea. And that's why ultimately it's a conceit to say that the body is the self, because it's operating. If you go right down to the level of DNA, there's no way that we're creating that. There's no way that we're doing that. We're just, there is volition that operates the system as the conscious system of choosing things and going about our daily business, but we've got no idea how any of it works. Mm. So there is a certain amount of control, of course, but the very fact that we age. Mm. My hair falls out, get bags under the eyes, What can you do? We don't have control over that.
And I think there might be an obvious answer to this question, but why are we so resistant to the reality that we are decaying?
Because people they cling to the body as being the self. So it is believed to somehow reflect my value, my status in the world. And because it is taken to be the self, it is proof of my mortality. Mm. And so to deny that by artificial means is considered to be a good thing. Mm. From that point of view, I can understand why, say, balding men in their 20s would think about getting a hair weave. Really, it makes sense.
I didn't know they still did that.
So it's moved on apparently.
Oh,
right.
Yeah. Hair implants.
Yeah. Mm. It would be ridiculous for me to do that.
I did hear a judge saying once that he'd had hair implants even. So I was quite surprised by.
Right.
Anyway.
But he gets to wear a wig. Anyway, so what's the problem? No, but so it is understandable. I mean, it's like, well, if you look at it in terms of the gender, it's like, well, the female thing of wanting to be attractive to the male is having that physical attractiveness, isn't it? And for the male, it is wanting to appeal to the woman through status, isn't it, and stuff. So I, from that point of view, which does seem to be like a very basic human sort of state of affairs, that you can understand that people would want to adapt and mould and change the way they looked. But it seems to me that to deny that we don't actually have the control that we would like means that you suffer. You suffer terribly because nobody can withstand time and being bombarded by the environment. It is inevitable that the body does decay, and you can actually be, if you let go of the attachment to the body being the self, which is what essentially the first path, the insight path, is all about, that it's not that you don't care about the way you look. You still care about the way you look once you're through that, but you don't fall into the existential error, the wrong view of believing that my body is the self, and so you can allow for the fact that bodies age. There is something about aging which is extraordinarily profound. It's like you carry the story of your life in your face, you know, and to try to sort of erase that, you tend to get left with these very frozen face. People that have a lot of work done on their face, they become very frozen, and you can't actually, it reaches the point where you don't actually know, because we communicate with facial expressions so much that if you become frozen in that way, you can no longer communicate, and people don't trust you because they don't know what you're thinking, because you're not expressing it.
There's something else I wanted to ask about the body. Like as a lay person in the Western world, like what are the best ways to contemplate decay of the body? Obviously, I don't have access to like cats of burning bodies like they do in India. But for someone who would really like to see precisely, and to really see, what's the best way?
Look in the mirror every day. I mean, it's it's like, who doesn't look in a mirror from time to time and go, it's like, I mean, none of us. I think it would be. I mean, in the Buddha's day, there were the charnel grounds, and people meditate watch decaying bodies, literally dead bodies decaying and stuff. That just wouldn't be tolerated in our society. Would be like
really
trying to get into the morgue. No, I'm a Buddhist meditator, honestly. They wouldn't. Don't try it, Rebecca. Okay. They wouldn't. I think that it can be done by just paying attention, being mindful not only of yourself but of people around you, of what's going on around you, and you can gather plenty of evidence to say that bodies decay. But I think that if you're, as you are, practicing insight meditation, I think that you just go through stages in your insight practice that show you the decay of every moment, the decay of an experience, and all the component parts of that experience do dissolve moment by moment. And although that is a very profound thing to see, and it obviously then leads to quite a strong fight back by the ego that doesn't want to acknowledge that. Ultimately, the knowledge, the insight knowledge that indeed everything decays momentarily on that momentary level, that is showing you how life works. It is showing you that you cannot have experiences laid on top of one another, that for one experience to be, the prior experience must have ceased, because otherwise everything would just grind to a halt. Everything would just get frozen immediately. So things have to cease for things to be. And so if you're seeing it at the momentary level, that is informing the whole of your life. So ultimately that's really where people want, if you're seeing it at that ultimate, in that ultimate level and in that precise detail, then that will resolve the problem for you.